Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Pre-Match.
Muti!
Come on, guys. When Nick's here, he gives a little It's almost like he's starting it, like a little engine. Can we try that again? Welcome back to another episode of
Pre-match.
Yeah, there we go, gents. At least there's still energy. I'm very impressed that we got this energy. Considering that the Premier League's done, and now we have to turn our attention to international football. For those of you joining us for the first time, we want to say welcome. For those of you that are returning, we want to say we love you. And if you haven't done the right thing yet or told anyone about the show, just do this thing right now. This thing, which is
subscribe.
Yeah, there we go. Subscribe. So I don't know. There's great sound effects there. In the house, we got.
I thought that thing was gonna come, man.
It did come. I played.
Yeah, it played.
So anyway, so we got Woongadinga, the Dinganator in the top right-hand corner. We got Silololo Kale at the bottom. We got our Arsenal representative, Man United representative. Of course, I'm your host here for this evening, Claudio Barreiro. Obviously, more of a Portuguese flavored guy because we got the World Cup and Ronaldo. We're going to be talking a lot about Ronaldo today because we have to, because he wants us to do that. So we're going to be diving into that. But before we do that, we're going to be unpacking 3 topics, and the topics are Premier League overview, where we're looking. I know Wonga's really happy, 5 points clear, top of the log. Then we're going to be looking at the Ronaldo interview, and then we're going to be discussing the FIFA World Cup. So, first and foremost, Silo, before we give this man his glory and his airtime, what are your thoughts, gentlemen? How's your weekend been so far?
I'm back.
No, my weekend was good as always. Woo, guys, yes, this last year. Oh my goodness, what a difference. No, my weekend was good. Great. How can I put this? I mean, looking at Arsenal, it was a tough game. And we still managed to, do that. We're 5 points clear of Man City. So which means we can lose against them and not worry. But yeah, I think
is that the only game you foresee yourselves losing? Is that it's almost like Silo? He's like, no, we'll lose only one game this season. That's against Man City. That's fine.
No, look, I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, it's. I think everyone is gonna. They still got. I think all the other teams have still got losses in them. Definitely, Liverpool has losses. Man United has losses. Tottenham has losses in them. Chelsea, oh my goodness me, they must stop losing. So I think, what I'm saying is when you get there, I think, if you carry on at what we're doing, I think it obviously there won't be that much pressure on us. But yeah, I mean, geez, all that aside, I mean, being on top of the league, it's halfway through this year. No one foresaw it. Only Bakary Sanya.
Whoa, hang on. We said, how was your weekend? And the man's giving us his full Arsenal synopsis. We're not there yet.
No, I'm just saying.
But
that was a weekend.
Wonga. Wonga never has. How was your week? My week was great. What a great week so far. Arsenal even made it better. And he still has to tell you the story behind.
You best believe it.
How Arsenal became a club. And then he will tell you that I had a great week because Arsenal won. He still has to tell you where the name Arsenal comes from. That's what he always does. He's a storyteller.
And remember the days of Henry and when we were unbeaten in the Premier League. Anyway, so how was your weekend?
My weekend was good. It was obviously raining mostly this past weekend. So I spent it watching a lot of sports, watched some rugby, even though we lost, watched some football. And at least my team has gone into the break with a win. But yeah, obviously there's another person who's obviously tried to take away the headlines when my team is obviously doing well without him. But yeah, that's obviously a topic for later in the show.
Yes, it is. We got Jason Sergel in the house saying, Wonga, you might actually stand a chance only because City have so many players in the World Cup, and he's not wrong there, Wonga. So let's start off. Let's kick off that first game. I mean, Arsenal go to Wolves. This was an expected result. I don't even think we gave our predictions. We just assumed Arsenal was going to win this one, and they did, Woongadinga. How did this happen? What made you happy about this performance? Was it a good one?
Yeah, look, it was a good performance. I think we were also fortunate in the game as well. There was a huge blunder. On another day, they would have finished. A team would have scored. Wolves would have scored there. In fact, I don't know if you guys watched it, but Saliba, he didn't check his blind spot. He passed the ball back. He was on the touchline. He passed the ball back to the keeper, and Guedes intercepted it. And you know, Guedes, good left foot, right foot. He's pretty much lethal. But Gabriel managed to get a touch on the ball and went wide. They also had, Guedes was getting in and out behind the defense. I think he had another 2 opportunities, but the one that was more clear went over the bar. And then the half ended 0-0. Second half, I think Arsenal then came in better. I think Shaka went off. Shaka was injured. They put on Vieira, and I know we've been talking about depth. In terms of Arsenal, but Vieira, I think, is sort of proving that he can come on and do the business. He's a very, very good player. He came in there. It wasn't it looked. I think he makes the pass look easy, but he has to get over the keeper and still get it to his play to the back post there. And Martin Odegaard is the one who's judged to have the final touch. And why I say judge, because you saw Bakary Sagna and him were on that ball to try and get that goal, which is pretty nice to see. And the second goal, Wolves made a mistake in the touchline, and we managed to punish them off that. I think there were like 2 shots that were rebounded from the keeper or the defenders until Martin Odegaard, Odegaard got the ball and put it in. Our Capitano, our new young Capitano there. And Wolves is never an easy game. You're gonna go there, and I think over the years, you don't
Wonga,
get many goals against them.
They've been struggling. They've been struggling this season because they haven't been able to score any goals, and they've got a change of managers, so things haven't been all breezy. And I think they are a bit desperate. But nonetheless, you got the result, and that's important. And when you're looking at it, you've only played 14 games, and Man City are behind you, and you've got a 5-point gap. And the others that are fighting for top 4 have played 1 more game. When we're looking at Tottenham, when we're looking at Newcastle, Man United and Liverpool both have a game in hand, but they're still out of reach realistically. So yeah, to Jason's point, Wonga, surely now you must be believing that Arsenal have a chance. Because for me, what it feels like is when Leicester City were on top, and my assumption was they're not going to win. They're not going to win. Yeah. They will drop at some point, and they just kept going all the way. So surely, is this what you're feeling? Are you having a similar or are you trying not to think about this at this moment in time?
What? Try not to think about it. That's all I think about when we play. I think I completely agree with that. You think it can be done. The way, like you say, the way things are aligning. But again, we'll never know how. We don't know. When the momentum drops, something happens in the change room, and they're just not playing the same. And it's just there is that fear that won't come out and be the same team. But I think it can. I think it can be done. Only 2 players need to get injured, and it's over. Potter and Odegaard. I think with what so Jason says, yeah, only two players need to get injured in Arsenal, and it's over. It's Potter and Odegaard. I think if we lose a Partey, I think that will be it. I think Jason says 2, but I think if Partey gets injured,
but that's a valid question. When he's saying that and he's going, okay, cool. If 2 players get injured, we know that there is already talk that the Arsenal board are going to back Arteta in January if needs be. And if these 2 players hypothetically do get injured, which 2 players would they need to go out and get to cover to make sure that they can keep pushing until the end of the season?
To be honest with you, Claudia, I've not looked at that. To be honest with you, in terms of which players.
He's a dragon himself towards the top. He doesn't even
signings. Yeah, which exact players to get. But like I said, I think Odegaard can be replaced by Vieira. Yeah, but a Partey, I don't think we have anyone else in the team like him. Even like now, Shaka's role has changed a bit. In fact, a lot. He's going up the pitch a lot. Partey's not doing that. Partey he's balancing things there in the midfield. He's doing a job not many other people would do, and they've also seen now also maybe it's only 1 goal, but it looks like he can do that little. He's been practicing that little shots of his. The same goal that he scored against was at Tottenham. So I don't know who exactly, but I think we definitely need, like Jason is saying there, Partey. I think we definitely need to find someone who can cover him. And if
so don't you think Al-Neni and Lukonga can cover for him?
No, I don't think they will do that the whole season. No, because
Al-Neni
I mean,
cover for Partey. Hey, that's a big ask.
Look, I think
no, I'm just asking a question of what he has available.
Yeah.
And I'm saying I don't think so.
I don't think so. Look, and Celo, look, I think I'll also put into that's how I always am. Is that you like I remember when Arsenal? This is me going back in the day again. Is that Alex Son was also Adebayo as well. Those guys were also asked to come in times when they were injured, and when they came on the field, I doubted them. Like Alex Son, they put him in the centre back many times, many times, and he just wasn't a centre back. They moved him into the midfield, and we got a complete player. Adebayo was also asked, would you be able to come on? And I think there's a time. I don't know, one of our strikers were injured.
Look at Celo's face. Celo's thinking exactly. What are you thinking there, Celo?
What?
Yeah, we got to Alex Song, Adebayo. I don't even know how we got there, guys. Please tell me.
Listen to what I'm saying. So,
guys,
I'm just saying.
I just started the show with this, and Wonga goes back again in time and just reminds you of how history is repeating and how history is repeating itself, guys.
Yes, and it's true because now Neni, if what's his name, if Partey gets injured, then Neni will definitely be asked to step up, and you never know. Maybe he'll show us what they've been seeing this whole time. But currently, the way he's been playing, what I've seen, not a bad player, but what Partey is doing, no, he can't do that.
He's doing something special there. And I also think he's getting the best out of Shaka, and you got a new player in Shaka. So quick fire, gentlemen, between the two of you. Wangadenga, will Arsenal win the league?
Yes.
Celo? No, simple. Right, gentlemen, Man City went and lost at home to Brentford. This was a big one for a couple of reasons. Ivan Toney gets excluded from the England squad, and of course, if some of you were betting men like Wangadenga, I'm sure you've captained Ivan Toney just going, he needs to stick it to Gareth Southgate, and he does, and he scores some goals there. But Celo, I don't know if you caught an overview. What do you think about this performance? What do you think about the result for Man City in particular?
I watched the game. Listen, funny enough, that was like the commentator was saying that Man City has these blips in the season. Obviously last season they lost to Palace, and then I think they drew against the Saints. And that first half where Brentford was basically not troubled, Brentford had some decent opportunities. Toney had a chance where Edison saved it, and then he eventually got his goal. And Man City were quite toothless, if I'm being honest. Haaland really didn't get any clear-cut opportunities. I think the most dangerous person for Man City on the day was actually Phil Foden, who ended up getting the goal, had some good, decent opportunities in the second half. So I think, I think Brentford went out there, set out their stall quite nicely, did a nice smash and grab at the end there. They probably should have even gotten a third on the counter after the second goal, where they ran in. I think they were just so confident, but obviously could have put them back in the butt. It's a great performance from Brentford. And I just think that Ivan Toney had a bet that he was going to score 2 goals, and he delivered. That was the bet. That was probably like the 232nd bet that he placed. And he probably bet that he was going to score 2 goals.
He definitely did. I'm sure he's probably spoken to some of the Man City players.
Look at that. Look at that. Even Jason's referring to the betting scandal. You know what I mean? What more does Toney need to do to make the national team? Not bet on so many teams? I think so. I think Southgate was probably told about it, and then he decided, let me not pick this guy because this thing's going to come out.
It was definitely going to come out. I mean, and also the timing of it is interesting because they could have obviously released it after the World Cup, let him go to the World Cup, but they did it before the World Cup for that reason. So I think, and both of you, I think Wonga, you shared it. Was it Celo or shared it within the Discord channel? Yeah, Celo.
It was me, and then Wonga gave us the rules.
Yeah. So the rule is, just if people are interested, I just took it roughly so everyone can see, is that so Toney, it was over 4 years, 2017 up until 2021, and then the FA rule they call it number E8, but it says that participants shall not bet, or either when they refer to a participant, it's obviously the participants within the sport. So Ivan Toney is a soccer player. You can get a match official. So the participants should not bet either directly or indirectly or instruct, permit, cause, or enable any person to bet on, and then it lists them all down there, and then it tells you what happens if they also are caught betting on it. So when I read it, I was like, this Ivan Toney, 232 times. Guys, you must just correct me if I'm wrong here. I did the math.
Times, guys.
Yeah, look. It's 4 years, right? It's 4 years.
Yeah.
It's 4 years. He's done it 232 times. It means he's done it every 6 days, if I'm not mistaken.
Someone was saying every once a week. Yeah.
Yeah. Is he retarded? If that's the truth, like, what the heck? Like, oh my goodness. Every single week, guys. There's no need. I mean, that's complete greed. If it's true and it comes out,
how do you think he's going to get away with this, though?
Yeah, you see that's the thing. Maybe and also I was also asking is that did they also not allow him to do it that many times? They said, okay, guys, that's enough. Let's get him now. It's gone, because I can.
That's the thing. I wonder. Is it like an audit or something? Like they do at a certain point in time? Because over 4-year period, they should have just told him after 1 year or after 2 years. I would have thought this stuff gets audited every single year, type of thing.
Yes.
Look at Jason says betting every 6 days. That's standard for some of us. Hey man, but we don't participate.
But cheating,
So
but
for
cheating,
instance, man, guys, guys, it's and the thing with betting is that they're not saying don't bet, right? Just don't bet on the sports that you're participating in, right?
Yeah.
You can go bloody bet on rugby. You know what I mean? Just don't bet on football, because there's information that you have that a normal better doesn't have. You know what I mean? You could literally bet over 8.5 corners in a game and make sure there's a corner for the other team.
But I mean, look, I think even in that respect, I must just chill a bit as well, because
some insider trading over here. I'm sure he's got Toney in his DMs.
Because he's the biggest better on the show.
No. Trust me, I'm not. But I do look at these
What
things.
do you mean you're not? Who's a bigger better on this show than you? I mean, you and Jason probably get together at Tab on the corner of Linwood Road.
Guys, I probably bet, if I did place a bet, it'd probably be like this year. I've probably done it 3 times or something. I promise you, it's not a lot. I've gone. Yeah, I used to do it a lot before, but now I've said no, relax. And I've done it like 3 times. I'm easy on it. But listen to this, Claudio. I want to tell you, like, in terms of Ivan, like, I mean, you look at the other side of it, because and people must. I just want to also put it out there. I also think, in my opinion, I think the betting sites as well. I don't think they also. I don't think they're also angels, They, if you're a winning man, they'll bombard you, they'll give you prizes, they'll keep you spending. If you spend a lot there, they'll keep you spending. Trust me that. And so even when I look at this with Ivan Toney as well, I see that, look, this guy's trying to cheat the Devils. I also don't. I can see what he was trying to do, but again, I think he should have been more clever. I mean, every 6 days you're cheating. You're gonna get caught. It can't be that great. I think definitely after the 100th time they're watching you and they're like, okay, let's just wait until we've got enough evidence. It carries on.
He's definitely giving them enough chance to catch him. But I suppose the question is, I mean, to what Jason's asked you, how does he not get selected for the England squad? Now we know this is a big scandal, but should this really be a factor as to whether or not he goes to a World Cup that's already scandalous as it is in Qatar? I mean, surely they could have let this. This is probably one of the minor scandals.
I think he should have been picked. I think he should have been picked, and then he can answer for his indiscretions after the World Cup, because also they've asked him to get back to them by the 24th of November, right? So what they could have done is they could have waited for him to get out of the World Cup, which is probably the group stage. After the group stages, they can ask him, hey, listen. You've bet 232 times in 4-year cycle. Can you please answer for this? So I think he should have been in the World Cup. It's always good. I think it's good to have 3 strikers. The fact that they only have 2 recognized number 9s, I feel they're 1 player short.
Yeah, because now I think if you're looking at Southgate as well, do you look? But also he doesn't pick teams the way you think you'd pick them. So I don't know why I'm even thinking like this. But if now you're looking at Southgate and you're thinking, okay, if he's betting every 6 days, he's probably going to do it in the World Cup also, and I don't want that on my team. But it's also not. It's also not.
That's fair.
Oh, damn.
That's fair.
You never know. But then at the same time, you can't also call him guilty when he hasn't been proven guilty. He's just been charges.
Yeah.
But the 232 just makes it sound convincing, which is unfortunate on his side. Yeah.
Right, just before we move on to the next game, just quick one with Man City losing this. What do you think this was down to? I mean, Selo, you did watch the game and you said they weren't really affecting him in the final third. But do you think this had a factor? The World Cup was a factor. Players were thinking about that, not wanting to get too stuck in.
I think, let's be honest, guys. That does play a factor. Hey, I think some players.
You reckon?
Look at the starting lineup for City, right? I think everyone in that starting lineup is going to the World Cup. If you think about it, right? So everyone in that lineup was going to the World Cup. You got Laporte,
except for Haaland.
Except for Haaland, yes. So the guy who needs to get on the balls is not going to World Cup, right? But everyone else who is the ball-up play for that team, I think they had. Sometimes it's not even the fact that they were scared of getting injured, but they had an eye on the World Cup. So they're already thinking to themselves, okay, hey guys, I just need to play well, be done, get on the plane with Belgium and go to the World Cup. De Bruyne was not himself on the weekend. He he even dived to try and get a penalty in that game. I think
it was horrible.
Claudio, it happens with teams sometimes when they're playing a game today and then they're playing midweek, let's say on Wednesday. Then the Saturday they've got a cup final, for instance, right? They're thinking about the cup final whilst playing that game, and then they're not actually at their sharpest. And I think that's what happened to Man. And I think that's what happened to Man City. Is that whole starting lineup, except for Haaland, was World Cup, and they just didn't bring it. They just got caught out.
Yeah, that's
I mean, look, I think if you're looking at, but even if you're looking at, if I look at the stats, I mean, watching the game as well. I mean, Man City had many opportunities. They've taken 29 shots. At goal, which is that's tremendous. That looks like a team that wants to score, but on the other side, they've only 9 have hit the target, and Brentford, with the 25% ball position they've had, they've actually hit the shot. They've actually hit the goal 8 times, and obviously they ended up with more goals than Man City. But I agree with Silo. They looked like Brentford going forward, they definitely looked more dangerous, and especially with that second goal, I thought it would have been dead. Not him passing it the first time, but it was unlike Man City to be conceding like that, but something definitely different. But again, I don't care. We got the points.
Right.
That's all that matters.
He doesn't care. This is how Wonga plays he's or lives his life rather. He looks at the other teams and counts where they can drop points and hopes for the best, and it seems to be working this season. But this is an interesting time because the World Cup break comes at a good time for Chelsea and at a terrible time for Newcastle. Newcastle absolutely the team in form right now, winning 5 from 5, sitting third on the table, obviously playing a game in hand, but 7 points from you, Arsenal, Mr. Wonga. And when we're looking at Chelsea haven't won a game in 5. So 2 contrasting sort of, performances and sort of form. And when we were looking at it, we did say Newcastle were going to win, but they won 1-0. And this has been the sort of story behind their success are the clean sheets and be able at home. But there was no ways they're going to come back. When we're looking at it, Silo, with regards to Newcastle doing the thing here, I mean, January, surely they're going to go out and spend big.
I think what we've seen in Newcastle, right, guys, you must also remember that these guys have been playing well without even all their players being available, guys.
Yes, 100%.
They've had moments when Isak is fit, and then he's not fit, and then Wilson is fit, and then Saint Maximin is not playing. You know what I mean? So these guys don't even have their best players available all at the same time. So that in itself, then you're like, hey, they actually maybe don't need to actually sign players. They maybe just need to sign in key areas, for instance, right? So I think they will identify where those key areas are. So I think obviously in the striking position, they're sharp with Isak and Wilson and Wood. Woody's there as well. Don't forget Woody's there. Woody's there. So there's three number 9s.
Floating boy. Yeah,
Wood is floating. And then Almiron now obviously is a real, he's playing like
Messi.
like vintage Messi here. He's showing his Paraguayan swag there. And then Saint Maximin hasn't really been playing since the first like 5-7 games or whatever, you know what I mean? And then you've got obviously Willock doing quite well. Him and Jolinton are doing quite well in the midfield. Bruno Guimaraes is doing well. Shalvi, I don't even know if he still plays for them, but that's also like an experienced head to maybe come on. Longstaff brothers as well. So I think maybe they'll say, maybe, okay, cool, guys, we need maybe another centre back. Maybe. I don't know. You know, I don't really analyze them that well. Obviously, Nick will know. But I think that these guys probably just need to sign one player.
Botman at the back there, he was, before he signed for Newcastle, and I think they've done well. And you spoke about the Guimaraes signing there, Silo, in terms of him being a good player. And somehow they managed to get him across the line without anyone else sniffing around. But the Botman one, he was well coveted. Liverpool were looking at him. Arsenal were looking at him. There were a couple of top no one went in for him. And all of a sudden, Newcastle said, well, thanks. And now...
I can't believe it wasn't picked for the World Cup, eh? I can't believe it. Netherlands didn't pick him, eh?
Yeah, it is a bit crazy, that one. I was also thinking the same thing, but I mean, he's a young player. But when you're looking at it, I heard Newcastle fans say he might be the player that takes the shape of a company for what Man City did with regards to their revolution. They started off with company, and company was there for years. And this is already how they're speaking, or how highly they're speaking of this player. So it's interesting to see the difference there. And the back was a big thing to show up. And it's complete contrast to what we believe Eddie Howe to be in terms of his philosophy and his approach. And now we know, okay, cool, he's gotten that sort out. And now he can do the thing that he really is good at, and that's attacking football. So it's a really good place for them to be right now. But the Chelsea one is one we need to look at and speak about. When we're seeing Graham Potter is all over the place, and it does look like he's swimming in the deep end, and he's looking to find answers. And this break comes at a good time. Wangadinga, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, look, I think you could. Yeah, it's a tricky one. I don't know. Look, I mean, now they obviously they've signed Potter to sort of. It wasn't even really to stabilize things. I think really, like we did conclude, I think ourselves that, I mean, I'm forgetting his name. The Tuchel left, not really because of how they're performing, but I think they had really much of a disagreement, and they said, okay, let's part ways. And I think Tuchel, like I said,
the only thing that stays in your head is Arsenal history. When it comes to everyone, if it was yesterday, you don't remember, but if it was Adebayor from 15 years ago, that you know. All right, keep going.
Yeah, so I think now Tuchel has left. I think it's just like the losses he's experiencing. I think he could have turned it around. He picked the team up, I think, on a good streak as well. I mean, that's how he got that. He was in the semi-final of the Champions League. He's picked them up. Not really much problems going on there. And then now this. Now Potter's picks this team up. They're on a losing streak, and now he's battling to take them. So it's, for me, I think they're going to have to give Potter time. They have to. If they take him out, and it's the same thing. There's no way you're going to fire him.
Especially when you consider the money that they've spent on players that weren't even his players, and now he's got to try and make it work, which is an interesting one.
It's tough, guys. That's unfair on the manager, guys. I think,
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah, why go spending that money if you're going to get rid of this guy and then bring in a guy like, oh, he's going to make this work. He's going to make it happen.
Yeah.
He's never done this before, but he'll do it.
Yeah, and I think that what they do believe in is obviously Potter's a man, his abilities, and I think if he's the one that's choosing those players, then you can have something to say. What I'm laughing now is the Chelsea fans are a little bit reminding me of the Arsenal fans when we're in a bad moment. They're blaming everything, you know. I mean, when they won the Champions League, Mason Mount was even before, you know, Mason Mount was Lampard's son. Now they win the Champions League, they go, oh, Mason Mount is good. Mason Mount is good. Now they're losing. What the hell is Mason Mount doing starting? Blah, blah, blah. You know,
Wonga, you are so right. You know what also kills me is the fact that what's this guy, Kai Havertz, right? He scored the goal in the Champions League final. Oh wow, what a player! Great. Now, what the is he doing in the starting lineup? Now they're mad.
Like it's so funny. Like now, and I remember Mount was, when he got to Chelsea, villain. Like I'm not like bad, like as in they hated him, but no one wanted him to start. But Lampard insisted on this. He put him. They won the Champions League. They did win the league as well. And Mount has been instrumental in many games, especially when that team hasn't picked up. And you cannot even doubt that. And now when they're struggling, it's funny how you have to find a scapegoat for all of this stuff. You have to find someone. Now they're putting. I mean, look, I don't watch much of Chelsea's games, but I would think their problems are far from Mount. To be honest with you, I really do. Think.
Well, I mean, he's already dropped. He's dropping Mendy as well, and he's playing Kepa ahead of him. So just by doing that, just by initially doing that, you've gotten a defense that is used to the one keeper. You've gotten sort of some sort of success that was built upon. Now you've taken that. You said, no, we're going to throw this guy, make him our number one. Now you've got all the players thinking, and I suppose it's not the worst thing because they've all got to really perform. But you've taken something that's consistent to something guys are familiar with, and you're giving them new patterns to learn, like the manager's learning, I suppose. Silo, you wanted to add there on something?
Yes.
No, man. I think also, guys. There's been quite a lot of changes in that Chelsea defense. I think you're a team. You're trying to obviously build on whatever the strengths were from the previous season, and you add certain players, right? So cool. They add Kukurea, they add Fofana, then they add Koulibaly, right? So then already imagine, right? They had a starting lineup last season of Rudiger, Thiago Silva, right? And then sometimes what's this guy? Chalobah or even Christensen or Aspilicueta play right centre back, right?
Yeah.
So now you don't have Rudiger anymore. Thiago Silva, guys, if I'm being honest, guys, he's actually like sluggish now. Like he makes these
old.
Yeah, he's old, right? He makes these stupid errors where sometimes he's trying to pass out, tries to pass out from the back and then gets caught out because he's not as away. You know what I mean? He's not as away. So that in itself, that and losing Rudiger, I think losing Rudiger has been a big miss. And then also Reece James's injury hasn't helped as well. So I think those two things haven't helped the team. And I think they've got a lot to do. But also, the new revolution now, they basically hired the whole backroom staff of Brighton, and then now hired Brighton's head of scouting to join them. He just joined this past week. They had to pay a compensation to Brighton for the head of scouting from Brighton to join Chelsea. They basically taking 8 people from Brighton, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Goalkeeper coach, fitness coach, what analyst, coach, assistant coach. It's just like Brighton, Chelsea FC there.
Yeah, it's I think for in terms of what you're saying, there, Celo, now, that's what you see. You can see it wasn't that well thought of in terms of you can see that Tuchel's departure. It wasn't something that was like, oh, it was on the cards coming. It was like something that this disagreement didn't happen there and then. They really didn't plan for it. And now you can see okay, now they're just trying to make things work now. They're just trying to make this work, and they think Potter's the right guy to patch it up.
Gents, we looked at the bottom here. Jason's gone from YouTube to Facebook, and I think he wants to show everyone what he looks like. Just in case everyone's wondering, he's the guy on the far right in that little square, the big man there with the big, strong arms. Jason, congrats on getting married the other day. We want to say from Goalloungetv, we wish you all the best.
Congrats. Yeah. Congrats, Jason.
It's a pity none of us were invited to the wedding, but I mean, hey, whatever. I mean, we do feel like we're part of the family. Yeah. Anyway, gents, we're going to save the Fulham Man United game for last because from there we're going to move into the Ronaldo conversation. But the Liverpool game, when we're looking at 3-1, I mean, this was a good result for Liverpool just before the end of the World Cup. And it's all about timing. We've got Nunez scoring 2 goals. We know he's coming right and he's going to score a lot of goals. He's finally feeling a little bit more comfortable, less pressure based on his initial starts. Yeah, and I think this is a bit of a routine sort of situation for Liverpool. Luckily, fortunately, we've only got 7. I say only, but they've got 7 players going to the World Cup. Diaz will be back by the time the season kicks off again. And then the Jota's the only one that's a big issue. But Keita will be back. Keita, imagine the old man will be there with his walking stick giving us an extra something or other. Yeah, so he'll give us an extra something. So overall, I mean, just briefly talk about this. It's a good position for Liverpool, the highest position they've been in the season, and in the log all season, sitting at 6. We are 4 points from Man United, and the Man United situation is going to be interesting to see how they kick on from the debacle that is the Ronaldo show at the moment. But all in all, from a Liverpool perspective, we are happy, we are good, and Jurgen Klopp's he's setting up his mid-season camp close to Qatar in Dubai. So when all the players that do get knocked out can join them straight after the World Cup and they can support each other from there. So like I said, we are okay. And we know top 4 is in the horizon for us. That's where we're sitting. I don't know what you gentlemen think about that.
No, I think it's been obviously an up and down season for Liverpool, but I think also the teams above them, it's also been an up and down season. At some point Chelsea were ahead of Liverpool, but now Liverpool's ahead of them. So I think that gives the opportunity for Liverpool to figure themselves out. As you said, Nunez is obviously coming good. I think obviously, the goals that he keeps scoring will obviously boost his confidence. But Claudio, I think Joe Gomez needs to take a bit of a breather there. He had a howler. He was saved by Ellison a couple of times in that second half. Those saves that Ellison had to make because of Gomez, and not because of anyone else, because of Gomez. Gomez was just all over the place. I think, Muti, obviously he doesn't play for Cameroon anymore, so he
did try. He tried to come back in there.
He was trying to be sneaky. Echo told him, hey, no, you know what I mean, which is good. So I think you just have to hope that Konate doesn't get injured and Van Dijk doesn't get injured, because if Joe Gomez is playing, you guys will make.
But Konate is but Joe Gomez is an interesting, because he went from being elite and then he got that serious injury, and we were on that really good run, and then Matip cemented his place, and then it became Van Dijk's Matip, and then what happened as soon as Konate came in? He went low, one pecking order down. He just dropped another sort of slot, and I think that's really dented his confidence. And I don't think he hasn't looked the same plays. That Man City game was something where I'm like, wow, this is the Joe Gomez we know, but he hasn't been consistent. And I suppose it all adds up when these other players are on you, and if you can't handle the pressure, this is the sort of performances you put in. And I also think he might have been affected by the World Cup selection, because he did want to go and he didn't make it. And to be fair, I don't know, Selo, who would you rather have, Joe Gomez or Harry Maguire?
Harry Maguire.
Oh, okay. Well, Bonga says Joe Gomez. Let's talk about
more matches, surely, right?
He's played more games than Harry Maguire this season. Definitely has. The Fulham game, Man United game. This was an interesting result. This is the game I watched full game. Yeah, Silo. Fulham were very good, very, very good. But Man United always looked dangerous. That was the difference. And in the end, the timing of the Ronaldo interview is very interesting, because how that game ended with Garnacho coming on, getting that goal that he got on, it was very reminiscent of what Ronaldo would have done when he was 18. And when I thought, I was like, shit, Man United have a live wire on their hands here with this kid. There's something here. And I suppose Man United did enough to hang into the game. They absorbed all the pressure from Fulham. Maybe if Fulham had Mitrovic on the day, it would have been a different result, because they did suffocate Man United with regards to possession. But Man United just kept hitting them on the counter-attack. I mean, overall, what are your thoughts with regards to this game, Silla?
No, I think it was a game of two halves. I think Man United should have killed off the game in that first half. They had some very good opportunities in that first half. Martial had a good chance where Leno kind of blocked it with his legs and went through Leno's legs, but just didn't make it over the line. And there were other chances that we had in the game. So I think we could have definitely made it 2-0 going into halftime. And then second half, definitely Fulham's half. They came out, their guns blazing. Then you had to.
How good was Palinga?
Very good. He made an error for the first goal, but very good. Like hard tackler, just in there. Another player I think definitely should be playing for a top 6 side, but playing for a side that is kind of more known to be the relegation zone, but very good player. Andres Pereira played very well, trying to show what Man United lost in him, but he's never played so well for Man United. So he played very well. William also was a bit was giving Malacia the run around in an unfamiliar right back position there. So I think definitely Fulham in that second half, they gave us so much trouble. We have to thank the Gea for some good saves in that second half. And I think Garnacho, very good player. He won the young player of the year last season at Man United. So obviously it's someone who's actually, since he's moved from Atletico Madrid, he's been doing quite well. He's been with United for 3 years now, and I think he can just obviously shoot up. But it's been interesting the fact that they asked Ten Hag why he hadn't gotten involved at the start of the season. He went on tour but didn't get involved at the start of the season, and apparently I think his attitude wasn't that great at in preseason and at the start of the season. He was arriving late and so on and so forth. But I think he's improved his attitude, which is good, and he's gotten his opportunities. He scored in the Europa League against Sociedad, got 2 assists in the League Cup against Villa, and then has started in the league and then come off from the bench. So I think it bodes well for him. Interesting enough, his icon is Ronaldo. So obviously,
he did the Messi celebration when he scored that goal against West Ham.
But also
Okay,
but also he did that. He's done the Ronaldo celebration against Sociedad. So yeah, he's obviously quite conflicted. In he's Argentinian, but he's a Ronaldo fan. But I think he also loves Messi just because he's Argentinian as well. And I think it bodes well for him going forward. Listen, the Ronaldo thing is obviously, hey man, literally just happened. What, 30 minutes to an hour probably after the final whistle. It says a lot about the person, and also the person who was interviewing him. It just tells you what
So
kind of
this
an
is a Man
interview it is.
United take. I suppose we might as well just go into that. Before Celo gives his United take, Wonga, when we look at this Ronaldo's interview,
the greatest number 7 ever at Man United.
Yeah, look,
Eric
for me,
Eric Cantona. Okay, let's go, Wonga.
yeah, if you look at it, I mean, like Celo was saying, the timing of it. Obviously he's put that out so that he can get out of the club, and he's put it out directly after the last game. He's done it beforehand. He's done this beforehand in the interviews. Time to come out at this time. But I asked myself the question, and I wonder if you ask myself the same question as well: is what needs to happen for someone to actually then decide to do these things, calculate these steps? Does the guy feel trapped? This is what I asked myself as well, because Ronaldo said what he said. Okay, we know what he said about the club, and there's this thing of you got to respect the club. It's the club. The club is always bigger than the player and what. But now must the player feel trapped that he can't say or can't do what he thinks is allowed to do? You know what I mean? In terms of what was agreed upon, because I feel, and Roy Keane also he stated this, and we stated it here as well when Roy Keane did say it. He said that Ronaldo was disrespected by the club. He felt disrespected by the club, and reason being is that he wanted to leave beginning of the season. They didn't, and he was top goal scorer. Then there was a conversation that happened that we don't know, and we don't know what the conversation was. And then now he ends up staying because obviously you can see this, he's been forced to stay, And according to Roy Keane, he says he knows himself, he knows 100% that there were offers on the table when he wanted to go. There were offers on the table, but obviously the club didn't want to release him for whatever the reasons were. It could be shared sales, whatever it was. But he ended up staying, and then when he stays, he's not playing matches. He's on the bench. You top goal scorer. They put him on the bench. You might say, oh yeah, it doesn't fit Man United, but it doesn't matter what the people or the fans think. The question I think what needs to be answered is what was said to him when he was going to stay. What were those words? Because I don't think he stays. I don't think he stays if they say he's going to be playing 30% of the matches. He's not going to come on. I think he stays when they tell him that he's going to be starting the matches.
Was there any club that wanted him? In Europe, the only club that wanted him was in Saudi Arabia, guys.
Yeah, but that's the one that's reported that we know.
That's reported, yes. People say they've been looking.
But apparently, the Roy Keane comments were pretty interesting because we do know he was. Yeah. Chelsea did want him. I mean, the owner did want him. And I think one of the fallouts of Tuchel and Boehly was the Ronaldo sort of conversation. So I mean, he might have ended up there, and that's the interesting thing. I think when you're looking at the sort of Ronaldo situation, it's easy to say and base the criteria and critique this and judge it, I suppose, on a normal basis and going, okay, this is how players should behave and. But I think in Ronaldo's case, he isn't a normal player. And I think that's where it makes it a bit tricky, and it makes it a bit like you're going to have people that are in opposing views here because he's not a normal player. And I suppose by setting the standards that he set for himself, you got to look at it with that lens. Celo, overall, when you're looking at it from your lens, from a Man United lens, how do you feel about all of this?
Man, listen, there's no player that's bigger than the club. None at all. Roy Keane, probably the greatest captain ever in Man United's history. He left on bad terms with Sir Alex Ferguson. The most marketable player, one of the most marketable players we've ever had in ever. David Beckham also didn't leave on great note. Van Nistelrooy also didn't leave on great note.
But hang on, Celo, when you're mentioning that, and I mean those are facts, right? I'm being Rafa Benitez. Facts are facts. Those are facts with what you're reporting. But when they were left and they were out, that was a high-performing Manchester United. That was a club leading global football. this is a different scenario. And what the thing I'm
Ronaldo's
thinking about
old.
here, yeah.
Ronaldo, listen. At the end of the day, Ronaldo can't accept that he's not starting. You know, Ronaldo's never. Let's be honest, guys. Has Ronaldo ever been a team player?
No, look,
I don't feel Ronaldo's ever been like a true team player.
I think he is.
The fact that he hasn't sent Benzema a congratulatory message also speaks to his character as a person. Your former teammate that helped you score so many goals, you don't even send him a message to say, "Hey, well done on winning the Ballon d'Or." I'm not saying he has to be buddy and go visit
but
him.
that's also
but
preference. Now you're nitpicking to create an argument here. But I could
no,
also
no,
say,
no, no.
look at him being a team player for Portugal in the Euros when he didn't even play in the
Look,
final. And he was
you
captain of the side.
interesting
No,
facts about this, Claudio. But interesting
there.
facts.
But for Man United, I feel that we should have let him go in the off season, and I think what probably did likely happen is Ten Hag was saying, "I want to keep you in public," right? He says, "I'm building with Ronaldo, I'm building Ronaldo," but in the background, he was saying, "Guys, if this guy does get an offer, I am willing to let him go, but I need to get a replacement," right? But the Glazers didn't want to let go of Ronaldo because of his star pool, the marketing side of Ronaldo. The Glazers didn't want to let go of him, and I think that's also where now that has clashed and has backfired. And also, I'm happy that at least he did in this interview. He does lambast the Glazers, which is good.
Have you watched the first part?
No, I won't give it the airtime that it doesn't deserve.
Yeah, but why? So I mean, here's the thing. Sorry, Wanga, you can add what you add, but it's interesting to have the opinions that we have. And I mean, I haven't watched the whole thing, right? So I'm not going to dive in and critique the whole entire thing. And I know the issue with it comes with the fact that Piers Morgan asks him or interviews him because they are friends. So we already know he's going to be taking a certain angle in terms of the conversation he's going to be having, even though it is meant to be uncensored. So that's somewhat problematic. But when you're looking at it from the interview perspective, when you're looking at everything, you mentioned the comment going, no player is bigger than club. And yes, this is what I'm saying. Traditionally, that is a fact. That is a fact. And I think when we look in from an English media perspective, he's always going to be painted with a terrible brush because, number one, he's not English. And every other player this has happened to that isn't English, they get painted with this brush and they love a villain. So within English football, from a Manchester United perspective, yes, a good 90% of the people are going to say this man is 100% a villain. But the question I have here is how much damage has this interview done to the reputation of the actual football club? Because when we're looking at it, like I said, this isn't your everyday run-of-the-mill player where the club is 100% bigger than the player. This is the biggest athlete in the world who's taken
biggest
social,
biggest
celebrity. Everyone is watching, everyone's listening, and you've got this player saying this club is not what it was. This club is poor. I mean, how much does this actually affect the club moving forward? And that's the question I've been trying to wrap my head around.
It does. I think it does. I think it does. But go one more.
Okay. So I think it affects them quite big because now I think what is done there is now he's also confirmed. Like Selo used to come here and say, "Look, Glazers don't care about the club, blah 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 blah," and it's now confirmed that it's solidified that now there's a conviction in all the Man United fans in terms of that is that these guys are sort of they are a problem, and I know many people are focusing on why did the interview and stuff, but for me when I even look at it, Ronaldo's concerned. I think in most cases here, yes, he's looking out for himself. That's what he's doing. But you can see that this guy is genuinely concerned about the club. He's explained all these things. And I think now, Man United now, in fact, I'll be surprised if I don't see it. If the fans were angry before about the Glazers, I think they should be even more angry now because the stuff that he said about the way the club is. I mean, if it physically, it doesn't even have to. I mean, mentally change, but physically, it hasn't even changed. I think then you've got a huge problem in that club. And I'm thinking the fans. When I say fans, I'm talking about the ones that are sitting there, actually, the ones who are actually there in England, going to those matches, who go and watch Man United play. If I was one of them, I'd be I'd be really, 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 really concerned, and I'd want a change in that Glazer ownership, because what it sounds like is those guys end up running Man United to the ground. Especially now, if you look at the fact that they don't try and make things work. They just try and hold on to Ronaldo because they know the money's going to come in from this guy.
So Wonga, that's a fair point, but again, that's not a point. It's to your point. It adds conviction to the statement, but it's not something Man United fans weren't aware of. So, what do you want to add? You wanted to say something?
It's nothing new. I think with what has been said by him, I think it's almost like an added voice. Obviously, having a player who's actually on the wage bill saying that is obviously something different. More than anything, it's been the former players who've said these things. The Gary Neville's saying that these the facilities are bad. There was a time when the roof was leaking at Old Trafford. When it was raining once, it was leaking where you've got shelter for the supporters, but then it's leaking, and basically the supporters are still getting rained on, but they're supposed to be sheltered type of thing. So, and man, the facilities are very bad. Look at clubs like Liverpool, Leicester, Spurs, City. They've put some money into their training facilities, and they're in tip-top shape. You know what I mean? And it's not a surprise. I wonder what it will do for the club ownership. But I think also the problem is that the Glazers want top money for being bought out. They don't just want 3 million pounds. They want 5-6 million. I'm sorry, billion pounds. Sorry, they want 3 billion pounds. They want 5-6 billion pounds. Reportedly, which is a lot of money to be spent on a football club. But yeah, I think there's a lot you can take from this interview. In terms of whichever lens you want to view it in, and obviously the snippets that have come out in terms of previously, and obviously part 1 airing yesterday. There's probably obviously part 2 tonight. We'll see what comes out of the full interview and how people dissect it. Because some people said that don't take things out of context. You don't even know what and so forth. But I think there are parts that probably Ronaldo feels very strongly about. I know obviously he mentioned the fact that he felt that the club or the media were painting him in a certain way after when his daughter was sick. Which listen, that is something that is obviously quite personal, and I think obviously the media can be very vicious and take things out of context.
Yeah, Silo, what do you think about Claudio, Gary Neville? Oh, so go ahead, Wonga. What do you want to ask?
So no, I just wanted to make in terms of I just wanted to say with Man United, I mean, this is what I got from when looking at the interview and everything, is that especially what Ronaldo says about why. I mean, if you look at it, you can see that these guys have kept him there. I mean, obviously because of his marketing pool, and that's for me. That's why I said that the focus should be on Ronaldo. If these are things are turning out with the player this big, is that they can't even negotiate like they usually do. He has to literally force the club to let him go. He's definitely looked at this. Then for me, then that should then alert you. Like, look, guys, the problem there are your guys at the top is the Glazers. Man United, in fact, all good teams are the teams that create the stars. You look at Man City. When they became good, De Bruyne became a star. I mean, okay, Aguero came in, he was doing good things, but yes, he ended up his career, Aguero, most of it, majority of the good things, Man City. Look at Liverpool, Mo Salah, Sadio Mane, Roberto Firmino, good players coming into a team, and they've pushed that team, and now that's where they become the stars. Arsenal, you can say the same thing. Thierry Henry, even David Beckham, Roy Keane, they did this thing. Rio Ferdinand moving to Leeds. They've literally cemented their names now. Now, Man United is in a position where they're searching for stars to come in. Problem. Man City's tried to build their team by doing this, and we saw it doesn't work. It's a difficult thing. PSG does this the whole time. So for me, when I look at this interview, problem. The only thing I see here is the problem. is the Glazers, and that's why I say they've just highlighted it, and they need to.
But hang on, yeah. So I mean, what you're saying, Wonga, that's true, and that adds up, and to a certain extent, that's what Ronaldo wants us to be thinking from that side of things. But to the point, straight after this game, I mean, this interview is completely premeditated. You've got a manager who's been given a shit stick to deal with, and he's come out this thing with flying colors. Ronaldo's done everything to play into his hands to make Ten Hag more respected and more loved by the fans. He's gotten the team and the players playing for each other, which is something Man United fans haven't seen in the last 3-4 seasons. And now suddenly you got this player saying the things that you're saying. And he's going to World Cup. And for me, from a Portuguese perspective, I'm like, yes, it makes sense. He wants to try and find another club come January, and there's the World Cup. But again, it's Ronaldo making it about Ronaldo, and how much does this impact the players around him, and does he even care about that? And that's where it becomes an issue for me. I know from my side of things, I would never do something like that just because that's my fiber. But at the same time, I look at it with the other side going, that is my fiber, but at the same time, because of that fiber, I'm not one of the world's greatest players because I don't just give a shit about myself. So that's where I go, where do we
I hear you,
yeah.
No, I hear you on that front. Yeah, I hear you.
Nah, man, it's just leaves a sour taste. This is a very sour taste, but I think as you said, it definitely listen, the team spirit. I don't know if you saw at the end of that game, the end of that Fulham game, the whole team kind of went to the away fans part and just said thank you type of thing for them to support, and obviously them ending that part on a win. Their mood was probably at the peak in terms of how they're feeling about it. I think, and then now you obviously get this. And I think that it'll probably strengthen the bond of the team. And I think more than anything, they will also want to prove themselves as a team that what Ronaldo said about us as a team, we are building towards something. Sometimes the thing is with Man United right now is that they're in a very much a rebuilding phase where right now
the first time in years it feels like it, and you can see it.
Yeah, exactly. And also I think is that actually they are backing the manager from a transfer policy. You know what I mean? I think that's something in the past where managers sometimes used to get some parts of what they wanted and sometimes couldn't get the players they wanted. Sometimes they would get some other player and you're like, hi, that doesn't look like a signing of the manager type of thing, But here, exactly. Here you definitely see. So here you actually see, okay, cool. These players all the players that Ten Hag has signed in this summer have contributed positively to the side. Casemiro, Martinez, Eriksen, even Malacia has played well. Even obviously giving good competition to Shaw and getting the best out of Shaw. So you see, then at least you're like, okay, cool, they're going somewhere. And shame, man. Ronaldo will be left behind. I don't know where he'll go after this. It'll be interesting to see.
Just quick one. Cyril, do you like Zlatan? Do you still think Zlatan's a legend? If you do like him.
Of what? Of football?
Yeah. Do you like Zlatan for your club, for Man United? When he was there?
No. Yeah, he did well at Man United. Obviously, he's not a Man United legend. He's just a football legend in general.
Yeah. Just reminding you, he said one thing surprised me. Everyone thinks of Man United as a top club, one of the richest and the most powerful in the world. And seen from the outside, it looked that way to me. But once I was there, I found a small, closed mentality. So it was interesting that another player said this.
But that's the problem is the ownership. You know what I mean? I think, right, like you can look at all of these players that have come there. If you look at the players that have had issues with Man United, I think, and I'm not talking about the managers and issues with the players, but you look at people who've been there. Mourinho's commented on Man United. Van Gaal has commented on Man United. Zlatan, Pogba, all of these guys, right? Ronaldo now as well. It's the hierarchy. It's the people who run the club, right? These are the people who show. For instance,
they've taken the greatest names in world football and they've chewed them up and spat them out. That's
exactly. Exactly. So all of these people, but these people have won the biggest prizes in the game. They have not done anything. Your Pogba's won the World Cup. Your Zlatan's won a league in every country he's played in, except for England. Ronaldo's won Champions Leagues galore. Van Gaal's won leagues, and Maria's won Champions Leagues. It's the hierarchy. If you can change the people who run the top of the club, the club at the top, then I think then you can be headed in the right direction.
And it's as Selo says, he's even this conflict he has with Eric Ten Hag, it could be avoided if they had just sold him before the season started. It would have been avoided because the manager didn't want him, but the other guys opposed. And what happens? These guys obviously conflict because they obviously the one doesn't want the other. But yeah, again, hierarchy. I agree with you.
All right, Selo, is he still a legend in your eyes for Man United?
Let the dust settle a bit. Obviously, I think my emotions are still.
Listen to the whole interview, part 1 and part 2.
My emotions are still a bit high, man. My emotions are still high. You right now.
When the moment right, when he does really well, I don't even know if it's so conflicting.
No, he can't come back.
But if he does well at the World Cup, let's have the chat afterwards.
But you know he's holding back your country, so.
Man, but let's talk about that. We might as well kick off. It's all about Ronaldo right now. The World Cup sort of scenario from a Portugal perspective. For years, Ronaldo was the one carrying the Portuguese team, and now the Portuguese find themselves in a situation where it's one of the best squads they've had in years, but they are now carrying Ronaldo. And we've got a dinosaur that's going to do whatever he can to get Ronaldo what he wants. And that's a bit of an issue there. But gentlemen, what are your thoughts from a World Cup perspective? Which teams are you, because we don't have much time, but which teams are you backing for this World Cup?
I'm backing South America, man. I'm backing Argentina. I've always been an Argentina fan from Gabriel Batistuta days, but I think this is actually they actually have a good chance of winning, just because it's the same squad that basically won in Copa America. So I think that squad, they know each other so well. They've got a good manager, and obviously they've got one of the greatest players ever. I think that in itself will help them. Yeah, some of the players are a bit older, like your Di Maria is a bit older, but I still think he can still add a lot of value in that team. And their defense is quite good. Martinez doesn't even start for them. And they've got Emiliano Martinez, who's a very good shot stopper. So I think South America. I would have said Brazil, but I'm very worried about Brazil's fullbacks. The fullbacks for Brazil aren't really great. And then in Europe, I think the European sides, I think Spain is probably the most likely European side, just because they've got the best manager in terms of European sides. I think he's the best manager out of the European teams, because the other teams have good players but rubbish managers. Or
what he did to Portugal for the previous games, he had no right winning in Portugal, and he managed to pull the rabbit out the hat there.
Exactly. You see, he's a very good manager. I rate Luis Enrique. And guys, he's got a Twitch channel. He's going to give his views daily on Twitch about the World Cup, so which is quite cool.
Oh wow! That's very cool. Wonga?
Look, I think be quick about it. I think Germany can never ever write Germany off a World Cup. I think obviously the last one, I remember. Yeah, they didn't do too well, but you can't write Germany off. They know how to. They've shown them how to do it. I think of Brazil as well. I do think Argentina will have something. I think it's going to mean a lot to that man Messi, because it's probably going to be his last one, or he would like it to be his last one. I'm thinking.
If he wins it, does he become the greatest ever? If they win it,
Well,
there's no debate then, because then if they use.
Imagine Ronaldo's January looking for a new club. No one wants him. Messi wins the World Cup.
That he will be dead. He'll be destroyed. And then Messi passes him in the Champions League. I know it will be tough to surpass him because the difference is so much. But then he'll be destroyed.
But I think I'll go with my heart, and I really every year I always want an African team to disrupt things there, man. And I'm gonna go with Senegal for this one.
No money.
I still think
if they get to the knockouts, then money will be available. I think,
Yeah. So
that's a big ask.
Yeah, it is. But I'm gonna put it on there for them. I think they can.
Right.
But guys, watch out for Ghana, guys. Ghana have recruited a lot of the players who didn't play for them before. Lemty, Inaki Williams, and Salisu. 3 players who Salisu just had a problem with when he was playing for the youth team, the younger age groups. But those 3 guys are in the team. They beat Switzerland. They beat Switzerland 2-0 yesterday. And then Hudson Odoi.
That's a good result.
Hudson Odoi decided, I think 2 weeks before, that he doesn't want to play for Ghana anymore, because he had said that he was going to commit to Ghana, and then had a change of heart. So it would have been great to have him as well for Ghana. But I still think that they've got a good side.
But they do.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got for the African sides, they got one of the hardest groups in terms of Uruguay, Portugal, and Korea. I mean, that's no. I mean, look, Portugal have been known to choke before, so I'm not singing anyone's praises. But it's a tough group, and we know Uruguay is coming out of that one, definitely coming out of that one. So it's
I don't know if Ghana has anything to say about it.
Uruguay. Yeah.
Nothing Ghana.
But hey, this is the 2010 World Cup. Remember the 2010 World Cup? And so
they'll have a go at Suarez.
They'll be like kicking him and
guys are gonna be biting him.
Yeah, Partey's gonna be 2 for the challenge.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be hectic. I can't wait to see that. That's the only match I'd love to see.
And all right, gents, final thoughts.
Final thoughts. I've got 2, Claudia. I think the first one, Christopher Nkunku. I hear that he's on his way to Chelsea. Looks like they finished, and he's actually injured now. So he's going to miss the World Cup. Amazing form. I think that's going to be a good signing for Chelsea. Whether or not the manager is doing a good thing, I think he's going to be a good addition. He's been doing crazy things there at Leipzig. And another thought, I don't know if you guys saw. I don't know when they released it. I just saw today. There was the women's South African kit. Lacoste.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it looks on point, Oaks. You must go check it out if you haven't seen it. It's beautiful.
The guy who won the design, I saw it.
Yeah.
I actually voted for
there were 3 kits.
I actually voted for the guy as well.
Yeah, there were 3 picks, and they were beautiful. And it kept all the other concepts, even the one with the 90 was the 96. Yeah, and it was I love it. I can't actually wait to see it come out. Don't know if I'll be able to buy it yet, but it still looks good.
Cool.
Right, Silo.
Oh man, yeah. Let's see what the World Cup has to offer. Obviously, I think the excitement levels are probably not where they are usually for World Cups. I think obviously all the stuff around it, but yeah, let's when the football gets played, hopefully the quality is good. It sucks that the leagues ended last weekend and these guys are playing a week later. It will be tough. Probably a lot of goalless draws or teams not firing early on.
Maybe a lot more goals because less players defending. It's going to be interesting.
Maybe less players defending, but yeah, let's see what we have, and hopefully no more serious injuries.
Yeah. Right, gentlemen, thank you for joining us this evening. For those of you who logged on, we want to say thank you, and don't forget to do the right thing, which is
subscribe.
How do we end the show, gentlemen?
Stop it.